be neither luck nor cheating, for everything depends upon skill. In fact, I warn you that I cannot possibly play with you unless you allow me a move or two in advance." "The same with me," thought Chichikov. "Shall I or shall I not play this fellow? I used not to be a bad chess player, and it is a sport in which he would find it more difficult to be up to his tricks. Very well," he added aloud, "I will play you at chess." "And stake the souls for 100 roubles?" asked Nozdrev. "No. Why for 100? Would it not be sufficient to stake them for 50? "No. What would be the use of 50? Nevertheless, for the 100 roubles I will throw in a moderately old puppy, or else a gold seal and watch chain." "Very well," assented Chichikov. "Then how many moves are you going to allow me?" "Is that to be part of the bargain? Why, none, of course." "At least allow me 2. "No, none. I myself am only a poor player." "I know you and your poor play," said Nozdrev, moving a chessman. "In fact, it is a long time since last I had a chessman in my hand," replied Chichikov, also moving a piece. "Ah, I know you and your poor play," repeated Nozdrev, moving a second chessman. "I say again that it is a long time since last I had a chessman in my hand," and Chichikov in his turn moved. "Ah, I know you and your poor play," repeated Nozdrev for the third time as he made a third move. At the same moment the cuff of one of his sleeves happened to dislodge another chessman from its position. "Again I say," said Chichikov, "that 'tis a long time since last—" "But hi! Look here! Put that piece back in its place!" "What piece?" "This one." And almost as Chichikov spoke he saw a third chessman coming into view between the queens. God only knows whence that chessman had materialized. "No, no!" shouted Chichikov as he rose from the table. "It is impossible to play with a man like you. People don't move 3 pieces at once." "How? 3 pieces? All that I have done is to make a mistake, to move one of my pieces by accident. If you like, I will forfeit it to you." "And whence has the third piece come?" "What third piece?" "The one now standing between the queens." "'Tis one of your own pieces. Surely you are forgetting." "No, no, my friend. I have counted every move and can remember each one. That piece has only just become added to the board. Put it back in its place, I say." "Its place? Which is its place?" But Nozdrev had reddened a good deal. "I perceive you to be a strategist at the game." "No, no, good friend. You are the strategist, though an unsuccessful one as it happens." "Then of what are you supposing me capable? Of cheating you?" "I am not supposing you capable of anything. All that I say is that I will not play with you any more." "But you can't refuse to," said Nozdrev, growing heated. "You see the game has begun." "Nevertheless, I have a right not to continue it, seeing that you are not playing as an honest man should do." "You are lying. You cannot truthfully say that." "'Tis you who are lying." "But I have not cheated. Consequently, you cannot refuse to play, but must continue the game to a finish." "You cannot force me to play," retorted Chichikov coldly as, turning to the chessboard, he swept the pieces into confusion. Nozdrev approached Chichikov with a manner so threatening that the other fell back a couple of paces. "I will force you to play," said Nozdrev. "It is no use you making a mess of the chessboard, for I can remember every move. We will replace the chessmen exactly as they were." "No, no, my friend. The game is over, and I play you no more." "You say that you will not?" "Yes. Surely you can see for yourself that such a thing is impossible." "That cock won't fight. Say at once that you refuse to play with me." And Nozdrev approached a step nearer. "Very well, I do say that," replied Chichikov, and at the same moment raised his hands towards his face, for the dispute was growing heated. Nor was the act of caution altogether unwarranted, for Nozdrev also raised his fist, and it may be that one of our hero's plump, pleasant-looking cheeks would have sustained an indelible insult had not he, Chichikov, parried the blow, and seizing Nozdrev by his whirling arms, held them fast. "Porfiry! Pavlushka!" shouted Nozdrev, as madly he strove to free himself. On hearing the words, Chichikov, both because he wished to avoid rendering the servants witnesses of the unedifying scene, and because he felt that it would be of no avail to hold Nozdrev any longer, let go of the latter's arms. But at the same moment Porfiry and Pavlushka entered the room, a pair of stout rascals with whom it would be unwise to meddle. "Do you or do you not intend to finish the game?" said Nozdrev. "Give me a direct answer." "No, it will not be possible to finish the game," replied Chichikov, glancing out of the window. He could see his britchka standing ready for him, and Selifan evidently awaiting orders to draw up to the entrance steps. But from the room there was no escape, since in the doorway was posted the couple of well-built serving-men. "Then it is as you say? You refuse to finish the game?" repeated Nozdrev, his face as red as fire. "I would have finished it had you played like a man of honor, but as it is, I cannot." "You cannot, eh, you villain? You find that you cannot as soon as you find that you are not winning. Thrash him, you fellows!" And as he spoke, Nozdrev grasped the cherrywood shank of his pipe. Chichikov turned as white as a sheet. He tried to say something, but his quivering lips emitted no sound. "Thrash him!" again shouted Nozdrev as he rushed forward in a state of heat and perspiration more proper to a warrior who is attacking an impregnable fortress. "Thrash him!" again he shouted in a voice like that of some half-demented lieutenant whose desperate bravery has acquired such a reputation that orders have had to be issued that his hands shall be held lest he attempt deeds of over-presumptuous daring. Seized with the military spirit, however, the lieutenant's head began to whirl, and before his eyes there flits the image of Suvorov. Footnote 4. He advances to the great encounter and impulsively cries, "Forward, my sons!" Cries it without reflecting that he may be spoiling the plan of the general attack, that millions of rifles may be protruding their muzzles through the embrasures of the impregnable, towering walls of the fortress, that his own impotent assault may be destined to be dissipated like dust before the wind, and that already there may have been launched on its whistling career the bullet which is to close forever his vociferous throat. However, if Nozdrev resembled the headstrong, desperate lieutenant whom we have just pictured as advancing upon a fortress, at least the fortress itself in no way resembled the impregnable stronghold which I have described. As a matter of fact, the fortress became seized with a panic which drove its spirit into its boots. First of all, the chair with which Chichikov, the fortress in question, sought to defend himself was wrested from his grasp by the serfs, and then, blinking, and neither dead nor alive, he turned to parry the Circassian pipestem of his host. In fact, God only knows what would have happened had not the fates been pleased, by a miracle, to deliver Chichikov's elegant back and shoulders from the onslaught. Suddenly, and as unexpectedly as though the sound had come from the clouds, there made itself heard the tinkling notes of a collar bell, and then the rumble of wheels approaching the entrance steps, and, lastly, the snorting and hard breathing of a team of horses as a vehicle came to a standstill. Involuntarily all present glanced through the window and saw a man clad in a semi-military greatcoat leap from a buggy. After making an inquiry or two in the hall, he entered the dining-room just at the juncture when Chichikov, almost swooning with terror, had found himself placed in about as awkward a situation as could well befall a mortal man. Footnote 4. The great Russian general who, after winning fame in the 7 Years' War, met with disaster when attempting to assist the Austrians against the French in 1799. "Kindly tell me which of you is Monsieur Nozdrev," said the unknown with a glance of perplexity both at the person named, who was still standing with pipe-shank upraised, and at Chichikov, who was just beginning to recover from his unpleasant predicament. "Kindly tell me whom I have the honor of addressing," retorted Nozdrev as he approached the official. "I am the superintendent of rural police." "And what do you want?" "I have come to fulfill a commission imposed upon me. That is to say, I have come to place you under arrest until your case shall have been decided." "Rubbish! What case, pray?" "The case in which you involved yourself when, in a drunken condition, and through the instrumentality of a walking-stick, you offered grave offence to the person of landowner Maximov." "You lie! To your face I tell you that never in my life have I set eyes upon landowner Maximov." "Good sir, allow me to represent to you that I am a government officer. Speeches like that you may address to your servants, but not to me." At this point Chichikov, without waiting for Nozdrev's reply, seized his cap, slipped behind the superintendent's back, rushed out onto the veranda, sprang into his britchka, and ordered Selifan to drive like the wind. End of Part 1, Chapter 4.